you somebody that doesn't sweat? If that's you, I want you to watch this video because I know that we don't like sweating, but it's actually necessary. And when somebody tells me that they don't sweat, or they have a very hard time sweating, or they just turn beet red and they don't sweat, that actually tells me that they likely have a drainage issue as well. Now hear me out. We're gonna talk about a whole bunch of things, and at the end I'll tell you some of the simple things that I've had people do to ultimately get their body to start sweating again, because it is important. When our body's not sweating, we're actually not keeping things in balance. We're putting more pressure on some of our organ systems, and we're not eliminating waste products the way that we should. So let's start with, when you don't sweat, there's three main things that happen within your body that we want to be aware of. And if you're not sweating, make sure that you're doing these things to support your body so that they're not having to work extra hard. Now, the first thing is, when we don't sweat, we're actually accumulating more toxins. One of the ways that we remove toxins from our body is by sweating. And we're removing a lot of the water-soluble toxins. And many times that's actually heavy metals. So we can remove some of the heavy metals within our body via sweating. So if we are not sweating, our body is actually holding onto more water-soluble toxins, which then means it's putting more pressure on our kidneys and our liver to break those down, filter them out, and remove them. So when we don't sweat, we're actually asking our kidney and our livers to work harder, which honestly in today's day and age, they're already working pretty darn hard. The other thing that's happening is, when somebody's not sweating, I can almost with certainty, because there's always exceptions. My undergrad is in chemistry, and one of the things that I despised was all the exceptions to the rules. So there's always exceptions, but with that being said, when somebody's not sweating, I pretty much know that their lymphatic system isn't moving the way that it's supposed to. Now, it doesn't mean that there's like a ton of congestion, and for some of you there might be, but it definitely tells me that the lymphatic system isn't moving the way that it's supposed to. Now, the reason I say that is because sweating actually supports lymphatic flow. So if you're not sweating, your lymph isn't flowing very well. And remember, our lymph is the sewage system of our body. So if your sewer isn't flowing, things can get kind of gross. So we want to make sure that we start sweating so that our lymphatic system is draining a whole lot better. Now, let's talk about why somebody might not be sweating. So there's a variety of reasons, but we're just going to talk about 4 of them in this video. The first one that I see most often is dehydration at a cellular level. Yep, you heard me right. The problem is, we can drink all the clean water in the world, but if our body isn't actually absorbing it, we're not being hydrated. So I can drink this water, and if it just goes right through me. If you're somebody that tells me, look, I drink all the time, but it just goes right through me, I know that you are most likely dehydrated because your body's not absorbing that water. It's literally running through you. So a simple way to help support hydration is by adding a pinch of salt or electrolytes to your water. Now, salt is cheap, but you cannot use iodized table salt because it doesn't have the refined minerals that we need in order to absorb the water into our cells. So make sure you're using something like Celtic sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, or even an unrefined salt, something like Baja Gold or even Redmond's sea salt. So we always want to add a pinch of salt. You can add it just to your tongue, and literally a pinch before drinking water. Or if you're on the go, add a pinch to your water jug, and it'll help you hydrate throughout the day. So that's the first thing, dehydration. If we are dehydrated, our body's not going to waste any precious water via sweating. So first we got to get hydrated. And guess what? One more thing before I move on from dehydration. I've been looking at labs for almost 15 years. And when somebody has a chronic symptom or a chronic condition, it is like 9 out of 10 times that their blood work comes back and it shows me that there is dehydration happening. So with that being said, if you have symptoms or you have a diagnosed disease, there's a very good chance that you have some level of dehydration. So add that salt, start drinking water, and here's the best part. You won't be peeing as much when your body starts absorbing it. There's certain medications that can also lead to you not sweating. So things like beta blockers are one. And the way that they do that is it ultimately alters your ability to sweat by blocking the sweat glands and just altering fluid balance. So that's just one example. So take a look at your medications and just see, is what I'm taking, can it lead to like dehydration, or can it lead to improper sweating or the inability to sweat? One of the third things that can alter our ability to sweat is medical conditions. So things like hormone imbalance, hypothyroidism can cause us to not sweat, and hydrosis, which is just the inability to sweat at all. And so making sure that we are finding out what is going on and supporting those hormones, like finding out why your thyroid's not functioning properly, making sure that you're getting the antibody testing done, because majority of women, about 80% that have been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, actually have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which ultimately means it's the immune system that's attacking the thyroid, causing the thyroid to malfunction. So you got to address the immune system and figure out why it's being problematic. Now, if you're not one of the 80% and you do have like a thyroid imbalance, why is it your thyroid's not making the appropriate amounts of T4 or T3? And it's usually not converting, meaning you're not converting T4 into T3, which is the active form. So looking and finding out what's going on, or it could be other hormonal issues. So working with somebody to find out where your hormones may have gone awry is going to be important. So doing a deep dive, having a good history, and then getting the appropriate testing done. And then the other thing, or the very last thing that I just want to briefly mention, which could cause somebody to not be able to sweat, would be like overcooling, meaning like your environment is just too cold and you're always cold, which tends to lead to poor circulation. So if you're always cold, cold feet, cold hands, poor circulation. So we got to get that circulation going. We got to like warm our body up. We got to like move our body, and that can really help with increasing sweating. All right, so if you're not sweating, what are the things that I tell my clients to do to start sweating again? And here's the thing, it's not going to happen overnight, guys. So you got to be patient with it. But the very first thing is, one, you got to make sure you're hydrated. So the simple formula is take your body weight in pounds, divide it by half, and that's the number of ounces you need to drink in a day. So an example would be if you weigh 150 pounds, you need to be drinking 75 ounces of water a day. Now, with that being said, you also want that pinch of salt or the electrolytes for your body to absorb it. All right, first thing, hydration. Second thing, increase circulation and increase lymphatic movement. So as you increase circulation, right, things would be like exercising, moving your body. And it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Like you can get on a rebounder, you can go for a walk, you can lift weights. Anything that causes muscle contraction is going to be beneficial. As we contract our muscles, that's also going to help with lymphatic drainage, because remember, our lymph doesn't have a pump. It's only going to move when we move it. So when we physically move it, like with our hands or clearing our lymph nodes or contracting our muscles. So exercise is going to help with lymphatic drainage, which will also help with circulation, because remember, those two go hand in hand. So if our circulation sucks, our lymph drainage is going to suck. If our lymph drainage sucks, our circulation isn't going to be very good either. So we got to get both of those moving. So make sure you're doing the specific 7 every single day. And then you got to learn how to do proper manual lymphatic drainage. So the direction to move the lymphatic fluid in your vessels. That is a whole other story for another video, but you just got to know where to move the fluid for it to drain properly. Now, with that being said, one of my favorite things to get somebody to start doing is dry brushing. Why? Because dry brushing not only is going to stimulate lymphatic drainage, but it's also going to open up the pores of your skin. And when we stimulate our skin, we're also going to increase the likelihood of stimulating sweating. So I love to have people open up their specific 7 and then dry brush and then go exercise, or dry brush and then jump in a sauna. So increasing our core temperature is going to be really beneficial. You can also do like hot shower, cold shower, hot shower, cold shower to help with that lymphatic pumping. And I would recommend doing the dry brushing beforehand. So exposing yourself to heat or increasing our body temperature is really important. And then the last thing that I would say is, if you do have a hormonal imbalance, getting those hormones balanced is going to make a world of difference. So if your thyroid, if you do have hypothyroidism, you got to figure out, okay, what is causing it, and not just, and I'm not saying don't do this, but it's not just taking, the thyroid medication. It's finding out and addressing why the thyroid is off in the first place. So doing those things is going to massively help get your body back to sweating, which will then help your body remove those toxins. So remove those water-soluble toxins, remove some of those heavy metals, and take some of the burden off of your lymph, your liver, your gut, and your kidneys, because those drainage pathways are working every single day on double time. So if we can take some of that pressure off, your body's gonna thank you. Let me know below if you're somebody that just doesn't sweat and you turn beet red, and if you're gonna give any of these a try. If you guys have anything that you want me to do a specific video on, drop it below and I'll make note, and I will do my very best to get that done for you guys, especially if there's more and more and more people wanting that one video. Thanks so much for being here. And as always, happy draining.